buddy. What you doing? You being a good boy? You helping out in here? Cleaning the place up? Oh, man, look at that. I can even see the floor now. Nice job. Appreciate you. What's going on here? Oh, hey. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. TechBilly83 here. It's a train room episode. And is that stuff on the lens? Hang on. I don't know. Does that look good? I think it looks good. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Train room update. All right. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. There's been quite a few developments, and some things kind of expanded and moved around. So let's get right into it. Do we want to talk about the layout or all the new stuff that we just acquired? Anyway. So I've had PTO for a little bit of time here, and I've been spending most of that, well, when it comes to the train room stuff, I've been spending most of it over here. The coal mine section and the yard. So in the last video, we put the yard in. So let's have a gander at that, shall we? Oh my lord, look at all this. Holy cow. I got a problem. Yeah, so here's the yard. And I got a whole pile of flex track that I just acquired up in Clayton, New York at the train show up there. Big shout out to Norwood Train Hobbies. Appreciate that guy a lot. We'll get into that more later. All right. So, got all the MDF put in. Did that in the prior video. And then I spent forever and a day putting the track in. Big time saver was the Dremel. So, I got the chuck, the multi-size chuck kit from Lowe's, and also the Dremel drill bit kit. And that's got a 1/32 drill bit in it. Let me just show it to you real quick here. See that little guy there? So that's the 1/32 size drill bit, and it just so happens to drill a perfect hole for a track nail. And that's a big time saver in the MDF. And also it's a nail saver because the MDF is quite hard. And without a pilot hole to start the nail in and to help guide the nail, you have a high probability of bending the nail either halfway or 3/4 of the way through. So keep that in mind. If you have to put track nails into anything hard, get yourself that little drill. I've had good luck with it so far. You know, I did all this track here, and it's, you know, it's not every single hole is nailed in, but you know, you can see there's some wiggle here and there. I basically have enough nails in it to keep everything straight and aligned properly. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere. But you know, from 30 feet from here down, that little drill bit drilled every single hole that's in here, hundreds of them. So yeah. So I dragged out all of the old time coal cars, because of course, I mean, I've got the coal mine down there. I took all of the freight cars that I've been accumulating over the last couple of months and put them up here to get them out of the way. I still got to take that train apart down there. I'm going to try and drive it up here to do that and just park it on the main. But before I do that, I got to put my edge material on here, the guardrail, to keep things from flopping off. I think I still have one track in there that's free. Yeah, that might be for the modern coal cars. Actually, and I still have the iron ore train. So, you know what? I've already run out of yard. Go figure. And there's no passenger trains up here either. Darn. I got this track on the side here. I don't know. I can't really orient the iPad correctly. At least it still identifies as an iPad. But there's a track on the side there that's kind of a, you know, a runaround track, and then this track on the outside is basically the main line. And let me see if I can move this out of the way real quick so you can kind of see what's going on here. you'll have to excuse the spazzy nature of my filming. That's just how it goes here. So the main line is just going to kind of go wherever it goes, and so will the passing track, or the runaround track. They will join up eventually and become single track main somewhere's over there. So this whole area over here, there will be a third tier. So this yard and the third shelf over here are pretty much going to be at the same elevation. There may be even a bridge or two going across from the main line. But that's later on. Did that dinosaur throw that building in front of the train? That's like a prehistoric robbery. Oh boy, things are getting out of control here. So I'm probably going to end up shaving down that hill a little bit, at least where that structure is, that boxy structure there for the iron ore mine. And you may notice that some of the MDF is literally sitting on the iron ore mine. And at first I was like, I'm going to cut that out and, you know, not have this silliness. But the more I think about it, I may actually use this to our advantage. I may actually extend the MDF outward a little bit here. So, I mean, this is, hear me out. All right. So, the whole point of this structure here is to put the iron ore into the ore hoppers. And I intend to do that for reals. And at first I was thinking I was going to have like some sort of like tower or hopper over there somewheres and have like a screw conveyor inside a tube to go up in there and do all this nonsense. But then after I put the MDF in here and I cut that piece out, I got to thinking, I was like, wait a minute, what if I were to camouflage a storage silo inside of another structure, or let's say a big monster oil tank up here next to the yard, and maybe have like some fueling something or other, or just, you know, another little track with some tank cars to kind of make it look believable. So, and then we're just going to kind of use some creative latitude to, you know, just imagine that the top of the building is not squished under some sort of, you know, messed up terraforming project. But that's kind of what I'm leaning toward now, is to somehow integrate a big container up in this space here that's going to hold all the iron ore, and then it's gravity fed into the structure. You know, we'll cut a hole in the roof, you know, it'll go down through the MDF and there'll be all sorts of, you know, stuff in there, and have some sort of mechanism with probably, you know, servo operated slide gates to just dump the ore into the car. Or maybe, you know, the better thing would be to have like some sort of a rotary drum that spins, and the drum itself is sized to the right volume so that as it spins past the hopper, it collects a predetermined and consistent volume of material, and then as it rotates down, that same opening then dumps into the car, and just whoop, it all goes in. And it's all consistent. That way, the feed cycle is more or less fire and forget. You don't really have to worry about metering out a consistent amount of material by hand, either with a push button or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm going for right now, is that's the idea that's, you know, bouncing around in the farther regions of my brain bucket right now, of how we're gonna make that happen down the road. So that's kind of what I'm playing with. Hello, Mr. Overhead Crane. This track over here is somehow going to come around and then join the third shelf. And keep in mind that the third shelf has a mountain theme, a alpine, really tall mountains. I'm kind of thinking, you know, like Canadian Rockies, you know, that kind of scenery. You know, we do have some Canadian Pacific engines, so there's going to be like, you know, a whole, you know, thing here full of mountains. I mean, that mountain that's hanging up in midair over there, you know, Avatar style, is part of that. So yeah, that's going to be next on the list, I think, is to actually cut the sheet of MDF and lift it up in there. We'll talk more about that when we get down to the end of the container. All right, let's wrap up this end of the yard because we got to go down and look at the other end shortly here, but I want to look at the coal mine area and some of the other stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty full. I got a lot of cars. I can neither confirm nor deny that I may have a problem because I have so many cars. The problem being the quantity of cars and plus the tendency to accumulate cars. So at some point I'm going to have to address that. Anyway, moving on. You know how it goes. Somebody else might also have a problem with cars. So like I said, yesterday we went up to the train show in Clayton, New York, right on the Thousand Islands. And it was a smaller show compared to most, but it was, I tell you what, we hit the jackpot. It was perfect for me and for the Sprout, and yeah. So anyways, so she likes this guy called John Prine. I mean, don't worry, he's dead. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, he's a musician, and he passed on, unfortunately, because we actually saw him live twice down, I think, in Schenectady. But so I mean, it's okay for her to like him. Anywho, he's got a song where he mentions the Wabash Railroad, and when she saw Wabash on these cars, it went ding. So now we're accumulating Wabash cars, and I'm probably going to be accumulating quite a bit more of Wabash stuff, including the Norfolk Southern Heritage engine, because the only way that I'm going to allow like F units on my layout is if I have the equivalent road name and something modern as well. So luckily Norfolk Southern made that Heritage unit, and it'll be okay. And of course, you know, we got the whole chassis thing going, and she happened to see this car, and she didn't at first see the fact that it had the full color kitty on it, which looks just like Margot. That's our little monster. So of course that car was immediately snatched up. And then the Sprout likes her fruit. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, watermelon, especially watermelon. So when she saw these cars that had the word fruit on them, well, that's all she wrote. So now I have a steam era fruit train. Plus cheese. I mean, I like cheese. Who doesn't like a good cheese? And then milk. As long as it's, raw, not messed with. And then that John Prine guy, again, he's got a song about Mr. Peabody tearing up everything and taking away paradise. So you're going to see a John Prine themed meme train at some point here. I mean, it'll be the Sprout train, but, you know. So basically what you see here is from that chassis hopper all the way up to that Wabash hopper in the front there. That's the Sprout's cars. Those are all the cars that the Sprout picked out at the Clayton Train Show. So, it was a good time for all. I happen to get these really beautifully done CSX hoppers. There's a group there, or a guy or somebody that weathers these and sells them for a very reasonable price. I should have got more. I went back like maybe the 5th or 6th time after we left and went to lunch, and then saw he had more on the table. I actually picked up an engine from him that last trip, but he had more hoppers on the table, and I was like, nah, I should probably just leave them for somebody else. But I tell you what, if they're still around when the Syracuse show comes, I'm getting them. So nobody, I'm telling you right now, I got dibs on them. Nobody better take them out from under me. I'll be mad. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's a modern car, but, we had to get that because of the kitty. Basically, if it's got the kitty on it, it's ours. And then I acquired all of them coal cars in the background. So that far track in the background there, Dude had a 8-foot table full of cars for $5 a piece. And they all got KDs and metal wheels. And I was like, oh my God, I must act. So the Delaware and Hudsons and the General Lee car, I got those because, you know, they're modern and they were the $5 deal. That D&H red car there, you notice all the walkways are like tore up and everything. That's like a really primo car. So I'm going to hopefully try and repair the walkways and, you know, get that guy back into service. I got some track nails and magnets and whatnot, you know, because, oh yeah, and then she saw the main potatoes, because back in the day, her girly friends and her, you know, they all took a trip up to Maine, and there was one part where apparently all you could see, as far as you could see, was taters, or the starts of taters, you know, the green part, because the tater's like in the dirt, you know, it ain't a tater yet, you know what I mean? So we had to get this Maine tater car. I like taters. All right, moving on. So the big construction that was taking place during my PTO, where I granted myself freedom. Don't worry, I'm not going to paint my face half blue. So I talked about using the wall control panels to integrate a shelf into the space to continue this middle shelf or middle tier of track all the way out and around through the double doors of the container. And as you can see now, that has become a reality. I got that at the Clayton Train Show for $15. You don't believe me? There's the tag. Yeah, buddy. That's all wood. Somebody long ago built that by hand from scratch. So I don't know if it was a kit or what, but when I saw that and I saw the amount of, you know, when I imagined the amount of time and effort that went into that, I was like, you can't leave that on the table or you know, risk it not being sold and appreciated and all that stuff. So I got it. And there's a whole nother segue, you know, at that point, but we'll get into that later. So anyways, here's our shelf. And you see here, these are the wall control brackets for their shelf system. You know, it interfaces with wall control. I mean, it's basically like a, you know, a glorified, you know, of all the things. It's a, come on, there we go. It's pegboard. So it's a standardized pegboard, plus they have their own slot system built into it. It's pretty nifty. And then what I love about it is they give you these 8-inch flat brackets, which just happen to interface with the Clear Harbor Freight storage bins. As well, as you can see here, they're hanging down. But the spacing of everything worked out such that the bin is basically, you know, supported mostly by the bracket, but it's also laying on the... That's probably the Sprout closing the chicken door. That's the audio announcement for that. That's going to go off again here shortly if it's what I think it is. Yep, so the chickens are in for the night. So yeah, so the shelf idea has worked out pretty good. Actually, I gotta move this bin so that you can see what's going on here with the branch line or the spur or whatever we're calling it that goes down into the coal mine. So let me move these guys out of the way here. All right, so this is basically going to be a main line for when we incorporate the other storage area, and that's coming through here to this switch. I got a diamond there, 19-degree diamond, because I have problems with my Athearn 6 axles going over 25-degree. They actually short out on an Atlas 25-degree diamond. They don't on the 19. So I did acquire some 19-degree diamonds at the show, by the way. So, and then that goes around, and actually where that CSX is stuck there, that little guy, it's going to continue around. And then in fact, I think I'm going to swap out this shelf here. This is like the actual shelf material you get at Lowe's. I'm going to replace this with MDF so it's at the same height. And then I'm sure you can figure it out by now. Once it's at the same height, that track's going to go all the way to the end. Because you can still service the coal mine through this unrealistic hill, and and just drag your string of cars up and dead end, and then make a reverse move. Sorry if I'm going too fast. Through this switch, and then back over here onto this switch, and then you're back onto that main line heading that way on that shelf. This other track here, this guy, actually connects over here onto that table. And the way we do that is I got this piece here. Oh, I gotta try and not destroy it. But this actually floats in air. Well, I mean, it looks like it's floating in air. It's actually supported when it's, in place. But this goes between the two tables. And, I mean, it's duckable. I mean, it's the same height as that. When I can duck under that. But, I mean, that's like a 4-foot long tunnel that you got to duck over. This is only like a few inches wide. It's like, I think 8 or 6 inches wide, so it's a lot more manageable. But at any rate, excuse me, I made a cut for the edge material there, and put some more screws in there to make that piece removable. And then that piece of MDF goes in there, and it bridges across onto that flat surface there. That's why I have that box there to kind of prop it up a little bit. I still need to figure out a more permanent and more robust way of supporting this this MDF right here, because as you see, I cut a big slot in there to allow the trains to go down and under, and I'm using the PVC material again. I love that stuff, the AZEC PVC boards, and I have a mending plate in there that anchors that to the end. And that gives us a nice smooth transition. But I got to figure out a way to support this, because there's quite a bit of distance here where this is just free floating in air. So you can see it kind of, there's some flex in it. The MDF itself is pretty rigid unless you get high humidity, and then it kind of starts to bow like plywood. So, I mean, it looks like it's already bowing a little bit based on my eyeballs. So, oh yeah, the SD60i, I got that yesterday too. That was the thing I got at the very end. I was also going to get the Sprout some Chessie engines. They had some Atlas Silver U30Cs and U30Bs that were sound ready, but the guy didn't take credit card, and I basically I could have only bought one of them. He also had a Conrail U30C that I wanted that too, but if they're at Syracuse, I need to control myself. Let's have a look up here. Holy crap, what the heck's going on here? I better pay more attention to what's going on up here. These Conrail engines are like multiplying or something. Oh my God. So this is the other end of the yard. As you can see, if I were to actually move those cars all the way down to here, I'd probably have enough room to like move those other trains up there. Anywho, yeah. Oh God. There was a guy who had 8 Conrail engines on eBay for like $60, and I was like, yeah. Oh, I got this guy yesterday too. And where is it? Oh, that little switcher. So that little Conrail switcher back there, that's a lifelike, and that guy alone was worth the price of the 8 Conrail engines. Some of them are fixer-uppers, like I gotta get a drive line for this GP40 and a truck. So I might just find a donor engine. What is that? That is the oh, that's the U30C. That's an Atlas U30C, but it's actually missing the which side is it? Yeah, it's missing the clip in the drive shaft in the rear. So if I can find a donor for that, I'll try and get that guy going. And then I think that that one there, I think, needs a decoder, and it's good to go. So it was good purchase. And then I got another GE, that's a Spectrum, another GE wide cab. So I think I'm good for Conrail right now. Anyway. All right, so you may notice we got these Norfolk Western engines here because you have yet to see them, but we've got some Norfolk and Western mallets that have you know, synchronized chuffing and sound and the whole 9 yards and smoke. And that's why I've got all these old-time coal cars, because when they get fully loaded, we're going to have the 2 mallets on the front and the Class A in the middle, and hopefully they raise hell when they go up the hills with all these loaded coal cars. That's the plan anyway. So stay tuned for that. That's not for a while. Well, I mean, it could be if I clean this dump up, but you know. All right, so we're going downhill into the coal mine. Now remember a bunch of videos back, I was thinking maybe I was going to go down around the end and in, and that was my first attempt at thinking my way through that, and lucky for everybody, I didn't do that, because eventually we will be putting a door in the back there, an emergency door. I mean, it'll be a 32-inch man door, but you know, it's going to have a crash bar on it, and you won't be able to open it from the outside. But I mean, there will be a door in there, so that needs to be a clear way of egress to get out. So there's not going to be any track encapsulating that area. You will have to duck down, and obviously if you're in a wheelchair, sorry, but oh well. This is not open to the public, ever. Well, I mean, it's virtually open. You what you see is what you get. Anyway, so we're going downhill, and then I extended the shelf. And remember, this was going to be the start of a, you know, like kind of like a Appalachian, or you know what I mean, coal town, you know, with the old coal mine. And I mean, it's still going to be that. So I did pick up some more of the same type of buildings that I already had. Got that guy too at the Clayton show yesterday. So I got these 3 and that guy. So the little mining town here is starting to grow, which is a good sign. I mean, coal is, as far as I'm concerned, coal is good to go. We should be mining the hell out of it. And, you know, making the price per energy kilowatt go down. When I am king, things are going to be different. Trust me. So seeing as how we got this track going on this very unrealistic steep grade. Now, I will tell you right here, where you see this gap, that's an actual Woodland Scenics 3% riser. So this is actually 3%. That, I don't know what that roller coaster is, but it's, I mean, the engines can get up and down it, and they can drag some empty cars, but when we get fully loaded coal cars coming out of the mine, and they come up out of the hole, you're gonna need some serious power to get them up there. It's gonna be very expensive coal for the amount of either diesel or steam that they're burning to get up there. I mean, just running the numbers in my head, it'll probably have to be usually a steam engine, because then the mine itself could just, you know, feed it its own product, and it'll just kind of be like a write-off, I think. And hopefully they can keep the price per ton down, but yeah, you're gonna burn a lot of energy going up this hill. But again, I mean, it's like you got to make do with what you got. So we got the foam in there, and then the foam starts to go uphill along with this grade. So this will get contoured and you know, terrainified to make it look believable and you know, somewhat normal. It's a relative term around here. But yeah, I think we're getting pretty close to, you know, the final design of the coal shelf. We're gonna have to come up with a name for this coal mine, because the coal mine itself doesn't have a name yet. Neither does the iron ore mine. I mean, we got some of those factories down there, they got names. You know, think about what you'd like to call the coal mine and put it in the comments below. The funnier, the better. I mean, personally, I'd be okay with, you know, a little bit of edginess myself, but I mean, this is a family-oriented channel. We can't have none of that crap. So, you know, we got to have a nice name for the coal mine. All right, so you saw earlier that all the cars ended up in the yard. And in previous videos, there was a lot more track in here, and there was a lot more cars on that shelf. You know, bumper to bumper. After I moved all the cars up top, I got to thinking as I stared at this empty spot and, you know, woefully recounted how that I don't have as many buildings and industries as I want here. Then it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. As long as you can fit something in this space, it's good to go. Focus. What are you doing? Oh my God. So that's what we got here. Well, part of this, hang on here. So if you've ever built one of the Walthers modular warehouses, you may recognize what this little guy is here and how it perfectly fits underneath my bin brackets. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some styrene strips, and I need to find the right size styrene tubing to go into these holes, these pegboard holes all the way down. And I'm gonna lay out the strips and cut some tubing in little stubs and go doot, 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 so that it plugs in to the wall control. And then on those styrene strips, I'm gonna hang a fake warehouse facade all the way down with, you know, car loading doors. It'll sort of be like Bud's Trucking way down here. That big blue monstrosity that's kind of blocking the view of the grade that goes up top. It'll be the Walthers warehouse of some flavor. I'm kind of leaning toward the just the generic concrete warehouse. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of color, and we need to come up with a meme name, something that you know, doesn't actually exist in real life, but would theoretically compete with and smack the crap out of Amazon. Because Bozo there needs to, yeah. Anyway, he's took their jobs everywhere. Anyway. So yeah, there's going to be a big old warehouse. So that track where those cars are, I got all my clearance cars here, you know, my test cars, you know, for height and length and overhang and everything. Where that track ends, I mean, technically that track could go all the way down there. So like if you have a big grand operating session here where all the bins are gone and, you know, people are enjoying it, you know, you could stage cars all the way down at that big warehouse. You know, it's low-hanging fruit. You know, it's easy to, you know, just bump a car down there and call it a day. Anyway, so here, we got this structure here. You may recognize this. This is that shed that I had said was gonna, you know, be the Amish shed factory. Not anymore. I didn't really like how that thing looked to begin with. It was just an idea, but then I came up with a better idea. And the better idea was that it goes here. So now, it's going to be home to, come on, oh, two 40-foot cars. And the one just happens to, you know, when they bottom out, oop, it just happens to stick out the end just enough to show you that there's a car in there. And it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then I ripped apart one of them Pike Stuff warehouses that had the tractor trailer door on it. So now we got ourselves a little tractor trailer. And just imagine that there's going to be a backdrop here of a city, like a light industrial city street going off into the distance. And then same thing here. And then we got this track here, this little spur. That is going to be the propane guy. So there's going to be a propane dealership there. And the same idea, there's going to be a backdrop here with an industrial city street headed that way. Chain link fence separating the two things, you know, with gates on each side, because there's going to be a forklift coming in and out of there. There might be some racks of material scattered around here as well for whatever widget this place makes. But that's kind of where we're going with this. So then we're going to have propane tanks, and there'll probably be, you know, a backdrop with probably a warehouse behind that. Or, you know, basically what I'm going to do is scour Google Earth for the perfect location that is, you know, floating around in my head. And then print it out, and we're just going to call it a day. These little guys that were $3 a piece. There's two of them. Now remember, and we got to talk about this foam here. Remember, I was saying there's going to be a waterfall here. There's still going to be a waterfall here. And I got to like reconfigure the coal mine here and move that switch further down, or, you know, the switch under the kitty, and move the foam over, because I forgot that there's supposed to be a waterfall here, but there will be a waterfall here. An actual, real functioning waterfall. I was trying to remember or figure out what to do with this space here. Because remember, I wanted at least 3 different industries on this shelf area here. And then we get into this big rock cut that looks weird, but it'll look less weird down the road. Don't worry about that. And I don't know, I just kind of have this, you know, normal masculine fascination with infrastructure. And when I was looking at this space and I'm thinking waterfall right next to it, what the heck could you put next to a waterfall? And it dawned on me, it's like, oh, we need to have like a hydroelectric, not plant, facility, operation, project, a hydroelectric project. Yeah, that's the civil engineering term. So the original idea I had here, and you'll see these 2 switches with the little switchback there, you know, and I've already kind of prototyped this out with some visual aids, we'll call them. So I saw this, you know, heavy-duty Conrail flat car that was $20 at the show yesterday, and I was like, that would be perfect for loading in the heavy equipment into my hydroelectric project. And I grabbed this GP40 here. That's actually a GP40X. I like to think of it as a baby SD45 because it's got the flared radiators. But anyway, I grabbed both of them and put them end to end on this track where the propane car is normally going to go. And you can fit the GP40 in that heavy-duty flat car on that track, which just randomly happened to work out because I just took a piece of scrap track and just threw it there. And you actually clear the switch. So then, basically what we're going to have over here is some sort of concrete structure, big, massive concrete structure, you know, from bottom to top or top to bottom, you know what I mean, and a big overhead door, you know, big roll-up door in the side of the concrete that just kind of goes behind the waterfall. I don't know if I'm actually going to literally have this track go all the way around over to here and have another switch. That is still kind of rolling around in my head right now. But basically, what I need to do is figure out how we're going to incorporate this waterfall with the hydroelectric project and then have it go all the way down into the catch basin with the aquarium pump to pump everything back up top and make it look real. And as I'm thinking about this earlier today, after I took a break from, cutting and splitting wood, and I was like, well, I mean, out of the concrete, we need to have the tail end of the penstock, because we're going to have hydroelectric turbines, water turbines and whatnot, and there needs to be a pipe to dump the water back in the river. And then I got to thinking, it's like, you know what? I could also rig up a decoder, like an actual sound effects decoder, to flash lights and play the siren that, they play at real dams when they do a water release, and kind of automate this, and then probably even automate it with Home Assistant. So back to the show, when I saw these little brick buildings, I was like, that's the perfect little machine room entrance for, let's say, the east and west of the river. So this hydroelectric project will be on both sides. It'll be concrete down here, and then it'll turn into rock as it goes up around, and rock down below, so that we sort of have like a believable separation between these little worlds here. Our coal mine, and then this industrial spur, and then our iron ore mine up top. So I just need to kind of figure out the design for that, what that's going to look like. I'll probably draw it out on paper, and I might even let you in on that when it happens. Trust me. And you know what? I'm also open to ideas. This ain't just a runaway train of my imagination. Feel free to comment below, and especially if you know of any place in the actual world, like on planet Earth, where this, where the idea that I have described, with a water project on both sides of the river with some concrete and pipes and stuff. If you can actually point me in that direction on the old interweb, either through Google Earth or a photo blog or something, that would be super awesome. Yeah, so that's where this stands now. So
dinner is almost done. Dinner is almost done.
Well, that's my 5-minute warning for dinner, so we got to wrap this guy up. The video, that is. So after I took out all the track and the cars, I had a little aha moment, and I got to tell you, I think that's the best part of this hobby, is when you're kind of just sitting there contemplating and mulling things over, and then you have those little eureka moments, and you're like, yeah, that's the way to do that. That's the better way. And I mean, life in general is better when things go that way, but I don't know. I just seem to have more of them when I'm being creative with my hobbies and whatnot than at work. At work, it's like a matter of survival. When you've got the aha moment, you're like, oh yes, I'm not getting fired. Anyway, oh boy. So you notice these yellow price tags. Well, that's because they all came from the same guy. Oh, I tell you, I misbehaved yesterday. So we gotta speed through this because the Sprout has warned us that dinner is ready. So we're having a Sprout log tonight. So if you're wondering what the hell a Sprout log is, basically it's a meatloaf. And she made meatloaf one time, and it came out, and I was like, oh my god, that looks like a log. Yeah, so now we just joke around, that's a Sprouty log. She makes a good Sprouty log, let me tell you. Alright, cool little depot here. Handmade. Somebody made this by hand from wood. And I seen it, and I was like, yeah. You gotta get the label maker tape off of there. Hopefully I can surgically remove that with a razor blade very carefully. But yeah, that is an awesome structure for $7. Super pleased with that. This coal mine. So I don't know. I see things and I'm like, oh, that would look awesome, and I buy them. like I said, I have a problem. We got this little depot building here. It's got like a metal roof on it. Is that actual metal? I think that's actual metal. Holy cow. Again, another balsa project. Beautiful, beautiful building. That guy drinking a beer? What is that dude doing? I don't know. This thing won't fight. I like how it's like perfectly focused on the engines, but it's like, can I use my nose? Yeah, there we go. So it's like, you know, when you got both hands occupied and you have to tap the screen on your touch device, just use your nose, apparently. And then this one. Look at that. Look at the rafters on that. Beautiful little station. So, you'll notice that all these buildings are kind of green in color. Oh yeah, and this feed mill here. Whoever built these back in the day, they did an awesome job. So I'm guiding my hand visually through the iPad, and it's getting wonky. School buses. Yeah, we're gonna put the bus back in the garage this school year. Yeah, the school buses are out. So are the traffic jams. Anyway, all these buildings are kind of green in color. So I know where they're going to go, especially this one. Because remember, there's going to be a third shelf here. See that black mark on the threaded rod right there? That's the elevation of that shelf. So it's going to be about 14 inches above the deck where Rexy is. Don't be Rexing anything, Rexy. So I am going to try and place this station up near the edge of the shelf. I mean, the track is going to have to be right up next to the edge as well, because I want you to be able to see all that detail, you know, of the rafters when you're standing where I am looking up at the shelf. That's the idea anyway. The other thing is, I mean, I'm going to have ladders and step stools in here. Like that white one down at the end there. I'm going to get some of those. Either more of that particular model, or Lowe's has another one with a third tier. They're super lightweight. They're easy to move around. They collapse. And they make it easy for you to get higher. So this school building here doesn't necessarily have to be a school, but it screams gift shop. It just has that gift shop look, or like a cafe, or like a, you know, some little roadside thing, you know, like when you're driving through the country. Got a little boiler room, a watchtower for an interlock or yard or whatever, and then this little house here. This house reminds me of the Gravesville store, which it's a little. Well, it actually used to be a store, but now it's a place. A guy runs it. He does propane refills, and he sells drainage pipe and septic tanks up near Gravesville. He's super cheap. He's cheaper than all the big box stores and everybody else. I like supporting the local guys. Plus, when he fills your propane tanks, he fills them. None of this 3/4 nonsense. And then we got a nice little Italian style thing to go along with that. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Somewhere's up in the mountains. That and that are going to be side by side. And then I saw this little thing here. I figured this could probably go in the coal mine town. It hasn't yet because I just literally have not walked it over there. Let's fix that. Where are you going to go? Will you fit in here? Perfect. Ta-da! All right. big stack of modern car. Oh yeah, this was another one that the Sprout got. So this Western Pacific, that's just a regular old box car, but it had a feather on there. So the feather reminds her of chickens, and when the turkeys come by especially, the turkeys leave their feathers when they do their turkey things outside here. So the feather means a lot to her. And it also gives me an excuse to buy the Western Pacific Heritage engine, the 1983, the SD70 Ace, because that's, you know, unit number 1983, Tech Billy 83, hint, hint. So now I have a pathway that I can justify it. I didn't really need it, but you know what I mean. Yep, that whole pile of modern cars I got at the show, you know, super cheap. Price point was where you couldn't turn away. Anyway, we got some video from the Clayton show, but honestly, we were just kind of living in the moment. And oh yeah, all them little shacks and shanties for $1. It's like, I will find something for them. But the show was awesome. There was a layout there that somebody had built. Probably, you know, the story goes it was like somewhere between 30 and 50 years worth of time we're putting into the layout. It was basically the guy's life's work. It was impressive, I got to tell you. It was N scale, and it was 2 4x8 sheets of, well, plywood or whatever, but it was 2 4x8s put together, and it made an 8x8. And at the show, they had it split in half. I mean, obviously, it's split for transport, but they also, you know, it made it so that there was like a little aisleway that you could walk between it. And we got video of it. I'm not sure like how I could share it. I don't know if I can just share it. I mean, I was there. I like saw it with my eyeballs, so I think I can share what I saw. Anyways, I kind of want to be respectful about it because the guy did pass away. They had his picture on the layout itself. But I mean, just to see that and to see the level of detail that he put into it, it was amazing. He had a 24 by 36 inch piece of paper. I mean, I guess it's called poster board, whatever. Where he drew like an aerial view of this entire layout. So basically, I think it was loosely modeled after Clayton, New York. So it was a historically, you know, relevant thing, the layout, and it was pretty accurate to the time period that it was built, or that, you know, it was built for that time period. And he had an aerial view looking, you know, from the water, because this is up on the St. Lawrence River, St. Lawrence Seaway, from the water looking into the town. And he drew this on this piece of paper. And I mean, it was just to look at the drawing, it was like, holy cow. It was impressive. And like his relatives were there talking about it. And there was a woman there, elderly woman. She grabs a 3-ring binder and opens the binder up to show us. And it was page upon page of all the architectural drawings, like literally like architect level drawings that he drew himself of every single structure on this layout. Every house, every shack, every barn, every factory building, everything. Like actual, I mean, I wonder if he was like a civil engineer or something. I mean, it was that level of detail, and it was just mind-blowing to see just that one guy did all of that to that level, and the amount of planning. And then juxtapose that against how I just kind of fumbled my way through everything. And again, it was like an aha moment. I mean, not in a bad way or a good way. It was just like you know, we all kind of experience the hobby differently. And, you know, it's really cool to see and appreciate, you know, other people and you know, how they do things and why they did it. And especially when it's like a level of mastery that blows your mind. I mean, this thing was impressive. I hope they bring it to the Syracuse show, just to see it again. I think there's a show coming up in Messina, New York. I think the 20th and 21st. And I think they might be there. I don't know for sure. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a good show. They had it in the Clayton Arena. And it was just another, those small shows really are nice because the population density is a lot lower than the big crazy ones. And you get smaller train shops that just want to unload everything because they don't want to bring it home with them. I can't blame them. And I'm more than willing to help them out. And apparently now, so is the Sprout. So if you can spend some time and, hit the like and the share buttons, we'd appreciate that. Because when we get to the point where we can, subsidize this affliction, I don't want to say addiction because, I mean, that's got a negative connotation to it. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. I'm just rambling here at this point. Oh, yeah, so this billboard, the Sprout got that because it's got eggs on it. And we have chickens and we sell eggs at our roadside. So there you have it. Yeah, Tech Billy 83 coming to you from the train room. The Sprout got me this for my birthday.
Dinner is done. Dinner is done now.
So up at the Clayton show, there was a vendor there selling all sorts of lights, like street lights, and like train flashing lights and all sorts of craziness. And she got me this, and she was gonna try and hide it and conceal it from me, except the vendor didn't have bags. So she had to just like carry it around, and then we ran into each other, and she's like, "Don't look at this." So, where's the other bulb? Is the other bulb? So it came with this bulb here, which is like what is this? It's like a General Electric LED 800 lumens. Now that is an actual like street light. So there is a silver reflector on the back of it. And this 800 lumen bulb was literally blinding you when it was on. So I actually replaced it with a light bulb that came from these string lights. Because the lights that came with the string lights were the artsy-fartsy type. And they weren't bright enough to properly illuminate this space. So, that's why I put all the LEDs in there. So I just happen to have those lower power, like 20 watt bulbs, and put one in there, and now it's perfect. So, because before, I mean, it was so bright, it's like you couldn't look at it and actually read it. At least I couldn't. I mean, I had LASIK back in the day, so it was just like a starburst looking at it. There's like a certain noise threshold for light that just doesn't play nice with me. So you can imagine how much I love all these LED headlights that are probably, illegal as all hell. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, it's time for me to shut up. So, hope you enjoyed this update. TechBilly83 coming to you from the train room. Like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.